So let me just go through aspects of healing. So as you're waking up this morning and as you're tuning into the show, again, I know some people are waking up and they're frustrated because they didn't vote for Donald Trump. There are other people waking up and they are pumping their fist and saying, we have, we've got victory. The greatest thing that you can do is not do the in your face thing, because that is immediately when you get together with family and friends this weekend, right? Don't do the chest pumping, knocking your chest together, fist pumping. None of that's going to bode well for you. You know that. So first of all, I'm asking you to own the fact that as you get together with someone that you know, and maybe you don't, but a lot of people usually with their immediate friends, they probably have discussed this. They know the way someone voted. Don't shove it in their face. You've got to show the kindness. Everything that we always ask you, right? How are we going to play a part? Us. We play a part in how the nation heals. I'm going to talk about the power of proximity, okay? Sitting there on election evening, pondering the outcome of the election. The votes are coming in. Like many others, very concerned about the nasty divisiveness that we are experiencing. Did you sit there last night and see the results coming in? And did you feel fear? Did you feel anxiety? Did you feel depression? Did you have hope? Did you even watch them coming in? Did you wake up this morning, go to your phone, look at the news? Did you feel victorious? Did you feel hope? Even if it wasn't your candidate that won, did you say, which is where I want us to get to, did you say, okay, well, so it's Trump. Well, I hope our nation can heal. You know, there's plenty of elections that we've all seen. This one, they were saying, could be one of the biggest to either divide our country or to try to find a way back. It's created some chaos for some. I'm glad we're not seeing, or at least haven't seen yet, any massive protests. I think, again, we're still waking up with a lot of people getting the news. I'm hoping there's nothing that's going to play out in the coming days. So there was a time when, decades ago, people calmly talked about this. But for some reason, over the years, it's become too easy to be divided and have a polarized nation. Our society is actually becoming more divided, more polarized every single day with this topic or that topic. You know, for those who have lived with violent conflict, and I mean war, when I told you we have something very special planned for you on Monday, I just was very honored and blessed to go on the 108th Greater St. Louis Honor Flight and spoke with our true heroes, our veterans from the Vietnam War, from the Korean War. 64 of them were on that flight. They're guardians, volunteers, photographers, journalists. We got a chance to see something take place for them that never took place. You know, you think about the divide of how people felt during the Vietnam War and when the true heroes came back from that. And you know, a lot of the gentlemen, and there was a woman on the flight as well that I talked to, I said, moving forward, what can you say to our country? And you're going to hear that play out on Monday because we've got a really beautiful piece that we're putting together to honor those heroes that were on that flight, the heroes before them, and the heroes that will come in our country now for those that are serving. But whether back then you agreed with the war ending or continuing, was it right to spit on them, to cuss at them, as they told me? One gentleman told me that they came into Washington, D.C., and they were stripped down and hosed down. And he said, we didn't deserve that. No, those words ring so true with me. No, you didn't deserve that, sir. And I said, honestly, and he actually was very candid with me. And I just appreciated so much that he said, there's so much I don't remember, Monica, because when I came home, I turned to the bottle. And the addictions of alcohol, the addictions of drugs, suicides that took place, all because of the way they were treated. So understand that when someone takes their life or someone turns to try to heal from the pain that they're feeling, it all comes from a source of anger that's directed towards them. And so when I talk about healing, today, it has to do with the election. What does tomorrow bring us? There's something new every single day. Back then, we were talking about war and how the country felt about it. Today, we're talking about not wanting to get into another war. We're talking about wanting to get our economy back. We're talking about being able to go to the grocery store and not have to spend $500. Right, on groceries that used to cost maybe 80 to 100. We're talking about being able to have younger kids that are getting their license for the first time, going to the gas station and actually being able to pay for a full tank of gas, being able to pay your mortgage, being able to pay your car loans, not skipping on those and having an enormous amount of fees. So many levels of trying to get the right person in office to get us to that point. And for now, this is what you voted in. And there were record numbers of people, by the way, that did turn out for the voting. But how do we heal our country? So let's talk about this. Our societies are becoming more divided, more polarized, right? For those who live with violent conflict, there's also insecurity, there's fear, there's trauma. We can all play a role in shaping a more peaceful world. We need to look beyond the stereotypes and see the human underneath. See peace as a possibility. We may not all live in places ravaged by war, violent conflict, but we can all relate to feelings of division. Today, you might be feeling hostility, polarization within our communities. And I do mean our communities, right? Separated down between what we saw on the ballot in St. Louis County, St. Charles County, Jefferson County, St. Francis County, Franklin County. Again, I could go on the Metro East Side. The numbers, by the way, as you saw them come in, this particular state of Missouri, has always historically been red, but in Illinois, that has historically gone towards Democrats. Those numbers changed. It became a very small line. So it makes you sit there and wonder the change, right? Then you look at the battleground states, and as those numbers were coming in, the votes went in. You hope that when you see that the majority came in, and Trump did also win the popular vote, that you would think as you got together with family and friends that you would see, well, by the way the voting came out and way it played out, more and more were in agreement. There's still going to be people, though, that you're going to get together with that are going to say, nope, that wasn't me. I voted for Kamala Harris, or I voted for this particular amendment, and I'm not happy about it. Right there, that part. Do you lean into them saying, I'm not happy? And do you help them with that and ask them to talk about it? Well, what are you what are you not happy with? How can I help you see that this is going to be hopefully better for us? And again, the word hopefully. Many people also live with violent conflict on a daily basis. Wars are complex and difficult. And you're going to, as I said, hear that play out in our Veterans Day piece as they talked about the wars that they went through and how they don't want to see that again for our world. But if it did happen again, that you understand that those men and women are over there, whether they chose to or they were drafted and enlisted, right? These young teenagers and early 20-year-olds. Some of the guys told me that they almost missed, and then it was 24, 25 years old, and they were pulled in. They did a tour or 2 tours. Many were proud to serve the country. Others couldn't wait to get out. One guy told me he wanted to go AWOL, and his father talked him out of it. Again, a scary situation, but I don't want us to live in fear. Wars are complex. They are difficult. Conflict and violence can escalate, leading to more violence. And so the escalation is what we're trying to avoid. The violence can happen within your own family. We had a gentleman on, his name is Boone Cutler, with a really powerful interview months ago. Feels like I've done this show for years. Months ago, when we had the Gruntstow Foundation on. And Boone talked about the polarization in our country, the division, what eventually leads to killings. And right when you think about killings, you're talking about your belief is that that's in war. No, this is playing out on our streets. I'm saying as you go into going out with friends, it used to be that somebody gets into an argument, and we've talked about this before. You get into an argument, and the argument is just maybe shouting back and forth, and hopefully somebody's smart enough to step away from the table and calmer heads prevail, right? We always hear that. Instead, it used to be a fist fight that would play out. Or we look at the old Westerns, right? They're in a bar, maybe they're punching each other. You don't want it to turn to a gun battle. You don't want it to turn to knives. But now it's to a point that so much frustration, so much anger by a different way of thinking that just so easily turns into, I'll take that person's life. You take a person's life, and then your life is forever ruined because you go to jail. Or maybe it goes all the way to the point, if it's a violent crime, that your own life is then taken. Conflict, violence escalates, leading to more violence, right? Harmful narratives becoming entrenched and people becoming enemies. How, folks, do we move forward and prevent that? Tell me that. Again, I want you to weigh in here. I want you to be honest when you see what has played out, because we're just coming off of it. Some of you are just hearing the news this morning, again, that Donald Trump will be our 47th president. What does that mean to you? I want you to be honest. And again, I don't want you to fear, oh my gosh, if I type something in, someone's going to know that I voted for Harris, or somebody's going to know that I voted for Trump. Who cares? Can't we just be honest with each other? Let me know. So Rose says our family was divided in our political views. And Rose, that is the case in a lot of families, is it not? Yes. Some conversations were not pretty, but we're a family, and my husband and I said we have to move forward and we have to agree to disagree and hope for the best, whoever you voted for. Prayers are needed. All right. Terry says the people have spoken. Trump is our new leader, and for that I'm grateful. Safety and security, along with economically, Trump will prevail. She says, I'm looking forward to seeing all the positive changes that will happen again for the next 4 years. Okay, so Terry's saying positive changes. But think about the people who don't agree with Terry. I want those to speak up, that you don't think it's going to be positive. Why? What do you think will be wrong with putting somebody new in office? She said, I'm hoping now that he just can do his job without interference from the left and truly good and right this country as far as family outings or out in public. I don't believe you will see anyone on the right side of things starting trouble. She says, I know I won't. I just hope the others will not be confrontational. I feel that the Republicans have been pushed to this point to speak up and voice their concerns and react. I'm hoping for no reaction to the negativity. We should just unite together and serve our country and make it safe again. I'm happy to see and can't wait for him to implement and sign out of women's sports along with the bathrooms. To me, that's keeping him safe and giving women the right. Remember, Trump gave, ease to each state, letting them decide. Yes. All right. Roe versus Wade. Yeah, I got that. Look forward to 4 more years of peace. Okay, so Terry continued on with that. Rose, division in our world goes beyond politics. Correct, which is why I just went into it is whatever today. Today we're talking about the election. Tomorrow it's going to be a new thing. So that's exactly what I'm mentioning, Rose, is it doesn't matter the topic, doesn't matter what we come up with. It is a differing of opinions and how you accept it. Acceptance is one of the biggest things that we can talk about today, right? Acceptance of the people have voted, the people have spoken, and this is what has been put into place. I'm looking for someone who voted for Kamala Harris to drop a comment in and say what you're fearful of, because that is where you can really open up and voice your opinion. I see many over on our Instagram that have hopped on and off, but I'm not seeing any specific comments there. Anybody that's watching right now, did you vote for Kamala Harris? Can you be honest? And can you say what you're fearful of? Did you vote for or against the amendments that we've discussed that have moved forward, from the increase of minimum wage, from the abortion rights, from the betting, again, for the House, for the Senate, anything? Drop a comment in, because this is where I want an open discussion. I want you to see how it can play out. I want someone to say, and then I want the rest who voted for Trump or for these amendments I want you to see how it can play out. Honestly, I want you to see how the kindness can be shown to someone. So Rose says division in our world goes beyond politics. Some people are just so negative, unhappy, and into themselves. We need to push each other first, even strangers. Hate to sound like a song, but love is the answer. Right. Love is the answer. Love, kindness, acceptance, seeing somebody else's viewpoint, putting yourself, the greatest thing we can do is be an empath, right? How can we find our way to teach people to be empathetic in this world? For me, this is my answer, and you tell me what you think, but it is learning the art of listening, right? Patience. When you start to feel your jaw clench, the pulsation in your jaw, you feel that your knuckles are starting to tense up, you feel the pressure in your heart, you feel the tension in your neck, you don't agree with someone else. Great. The wonderful thing about finding your way to kindness is listening. Hear them out. Don't wait for them to be done and take their breath and then all of a sudden jump on their last word and then tell them they're wrong. That's hateful. Instead, say, okay, I didn't see it that way. I can see why you were fearful about this. Your why you didn't want Trump in office. I can see why you didn't want the betting to go through. I can see why you didn't want the states' rights for abortion. You listen to that. You don't tell them they're stupid. You don't tell them they're wrong. They're not. It's their own feelings. I don't care whether I agree with you or disagree with you. I love the fact that you have an opinion. And it is not, this is the other thing, when you grew up in a family, if they were Democrat or Republican, you don't just all of a sudden turn 18, 19, 20, whatever, and decide to vote. And then at that point say, well, I'm just going to vote because this is the way my mom and dad voted. No, you finally have your own identity and you have your own voice. And go ahead and exercise that right. If you did not get your sticker yesterday and you didn't go vote, I really don't want to hear from you today because you didn't do the right, right? We're given that right. You didn't go and exercise it for whatever reason. When we always hear that the numbers are down in St. Louis City, and that's unfortunate because there's so much that needs to be done in our city. There's a lot of division there, right? Just in our own area. If you're outside of Missouri or Illinois and you're in other states, come on, bring it forward. Let us know what happened in your state, in your city that you're frustrated about, that you're fearful of. If we were on set right now, I'd probably read from the Fear and Anxiety book because I think that's where we are. There were so many people that couldn't wait to get beyond yesterday. I heard it from so much. There was so much tension everywhere I was. And that's why I knew today that we would be talking about this. Everywhere I went, all I heard was, I'm so worried about our world. I'm so fearful of what's going to happen. And I'm like, gosh, kids across the board, ages from, I'm talking middle schoolers all the way up to seniors that I've been talking to. The discussion came up left and right, which I thought was a good thing, that people were actually talking, but they were being guarded. I think somebody's out here cutting grass and so the dogs are going nuts, right? But can we agree that we can get along? Dogs and cats can get along again, right? It's that kind of thing. I mean, kind of being silly with this, but honestly, it's finding our way to live within our own houses, because as some people saying, their husbands and wives disagree with each other, the kids disagree. That's the other thing, is hate thrown from children to their parents and vice versa, that once the parents see that their kids are old enough to vote and then they say, well, how did you vote? You don't even have to tell anybody, right? Just go along. If you want to, you've got to be willing to have an open discussion. That's the most important thing. In my eyes, it's, are you willing to listen to somebody else's viewpoint? Are you in a place where you can have enough patience and be empathetic to know that they were upset? So as you deliver the news today, for people who haven't heard yet, that Donald Trump will be our 47th president, if you talk to someone that you know voted for Kamala Harris, please do not do the in your face to them. Do not ridicule them. That is the worst thing you could possibly do. And that is where you play a role in the division, the divisiveness that we have in our world. You have to own that. If you're that person that is negative and ignorant, it is truly pure ignorance to show that kind of disregard to someone else. Please weigh in on any of this that I'm saying. Terry says the people that are upset with the election results need to remember what Harris ran on, and that was joy. I'm anxious to see Harris speak and see if she truly turns the power over to Trump with her loss and what she has to say to the country. Okay. So Sindra, very good. This is what I'm looking for. Listen to learn, not to respond. Thank you. That's exactly what I'm saying. Good morning to Tony as well. Somebody else, so again, I want someone, if you are willing, and this is the problem, that people are not willing on the other side to speak up. I want somebody, because I know there are people who listen to the show and watch this show who did not want Trump in office. I know it's played out. I've seen it in the last several months. I'm asking those of you to not sit quietly, but to actually open up and say something so that those who did vote, you can obviously see that Terry's very happy about Trump. Nobody else is saying which way they voted, and that's fine. But I'm just asking you to say, with what you see coming for the next 4 years, what do you want most for? How about we say that? What do you want most for our nation? I know the economy was the biggest for a lot of people. The border was one of the biggest. What for you are you hopeful for? Okay, I'm going to give you a little time to say, I'm willing to speak. When I sat down and talked to those veterans, it was cathartic, they said, for them to open up and be able to actually speak for the first time since the 50s, the 60s, since they served in Vietnam and since they served in the Korean War, some that were in Afghanistan that were there on the flight as well. For them to say, you finally gave us an opportunity to speak and to feel like we could heal again. And that's it. That's what I'm asking for today. So I'm going to give you a little time. I'm hoping that you'll drop some comments in.
Monica's show, it's very informational, but more importantly, inspirational.
People such as myself and others can come out and talk about real issues that are taking place in our communities.
These are amazing, really, really important topics that don't get discussed enough.
It really just promotes people who are making change and doing good in their lives.
So there you go. Exactly what they just said is exactly what this show is all about. Yes, I want it to be topics that we discuss, whether it's locally, whether it's regionally, or today, whether it's nationally. So listen to these things. I want you to hear what peace building is about. I wanted to bring this into the final part of our show. For those experiencing violence, trauma, insecurity. There's a lot of people today waking up and feeling very insecure. Peace is not a luxury, but an urgent need. Without peace, no society can thrive. Peace building is a long-term process of transforming damaged relationships and reforming institutions, bringing people together and helping them resolve their differences peacefully, addressing the root causes of why people are fighting in the first place. Why are you against each other? So hateful. Okay, I just jumped over to Instagram and she said, I am just glad all the political ads will be over with. No kidding, right? That's one thing we can all agree on, because those are so hateful as well. Addressing the root causes of why people are fighting in the first place, getting down to the cause of it. When we do our health shows, it's all about not masking the pain, but finding out, well, here's the root cause, then we treat that. So that's the way in our society. How do we move forward with the division? We listen, and that's how we treat the hate. The hate is like a hurt, right? It's like trauma to ourselves. That's how we move forward as peace builders. We believe conflict is part of being human. However, violence is not. I'm going to say that again. Conflict is part of being human, right? You're not going to all agree together. Violence, though, is not the answer to this. So when you are getting together over the coming days, the coming weeks, getting into the holidays, I'm asking you to listen better. I'm hoping that all of you over the next several weeks can come and say, boy, this year was different, because I started to think about what we discussed on the show today. And so this time I went through the holidays and I didn't have division with my family members. I decided to look at their side. I listened to them more. I was trying to be empathetic to them. I offered them some hope. Maybe you go deeper into what Trump stands on and say, here's what he's going to help us with, or that's our hope, right? Peace isn't just about ending wars. It's also about rebuilding communities, connecting with this person and that person, no matter what color or race or ethnicity or the way they were brought up, connecting across conflict divides so we can begin to develop empathy and understanding, slowly beginning to build trust, overcoming fear, making people feel safe again. That is the biggest thing that I was hoping that we would wake up and slowly we would start to hear people say, all right, I'm going to put it in his hands. I'm going to let these amendments that pass go through, and I'm going to hope for the best so that we can feel like a safe, secure nation. Understanding and tackling injustices and the causes of conflict. We can reconcile societies. We can help prevent future violence involving groups like women, minorities, young people, in processes to build peace means that peace is more likely to last. It's the lasting aspect of what we need. So what unites us can count for more than what divides us. So take a couple of easy steps to start to see the human. Start a conversation with someone whose viewpoint you disagree with. I want you to do that. I know that you might think that that's going to create the divide. It's not. It's you communicating. Start a conversation with them. If you know that they are fearful, you know that they absolutely did not want Trump in office, or they did not agree with the abortion amendment. They didn't agree with the minimum wage. They didn't agree with the sports betting, whatever. Start a conversation with someone whose viewpoint you disagree with. And maybe it has nothing to do with the election. It's just a disagreement that's kept you from showing love to each other for many years. Spread the word. Tell others about the need to bridge divides and see the human. The journey to a more peaceful world starts with who? Each one of us. Right here, right now. And if you don't believe that, it's a powerful thing to use for you to start thinking about. It's true. You play a huge role in what takes place in your families, in those that you choose to surround yourself with. All right, I'm going to let all of you talk here before we wrap up. So Terry's got a lot to say. I am a Trump supporter and I am happy. I will humbly keep to myself. No, don't keep to yourself. That's the point. Don't talk about saying that you're right. Instead, just have an open communication. So again, the greatest thing you can do is not just keep to yourself, but listen to the other side and then start to have an open conversation. She said she won't spew negativity or bantering to anyone who was a Harris supporter. If I'm in a situation where a supporter reacts in a negative way towards me, I will gently voice my opinion positively. Okay, and move forward to heal. I have to be concerned with only myself and how I behave and how I react. I cannot control anyone else's behavior. I hope to see everyone unite. Rose, love what you're saying, Monica. One should never call someone stupid for their beliefs. Amen. You're hitting home for us right now. My sister-in-law was appalled about how Trump imitated the guy with the handicap and made those physical moves. My niece is handicapped, and she said she could not vote for someone who did that, no matter the policies. She said people would have felt different if you had a child with that. I know Trump apologized for that, but the wounds were real for her. I absolutely agree with that. And I don't believe mockery should ever take place. So I agree there. I hope we all do unite. Jerry says unity needs to happen in this country. The hate is still here. I do not understand how anyone could listen to or accept the terrible comments about women. Don't tell me, oh, well, he doesn't mean it. Okay, so Jerry is now speaking up. Jerry, I'm assuming that you voted for Kamala. And so your frustration is settling in about comments that have taken place in the past. So we start to dig into, really honestly, we dig into the past of anyone, and you're going to see things that you don't like about that person. You're going to see things that you feel you can't heal from. What I had hoped was in the end that you strip off what she or he did, because they both have bad backgrounds. Honestly, if we're really honest, they weren't the best two candidates for our country. So at that point, it came back to you're not voting for the person, you're voting for what they stand for. And when I went to the polls, that's what it became. It was who's going to heal our nation. I don't care who he is or who she is. I'm not voting for them. I'm voting for what's going to take place for our country. That's where it was, because honestly, both of them didn't have the best backgrounds. But again, when you go to the polls, and this is moving forward 4 years from now, when we vote another president in after Donald Trump's next 4 years in office, it is remembering to vote for what they stand on and the policies. To me, that's the most important thing. So again, it's hard. I agree they were not the best. Jerry, again, there we go. So we're able to have this conversation here. So if you watch this later, I would love for you to weigh in, because see, right now people are just sitting on their hands and they're being quiet and they're fearful. I want to break the fear. I want you to have an open conversation. We can be kind to one another. We can listen to someone saying, I don't agree with him degrading women. I don't agree with him saying something about handicap. At the same time, it was the mockery at the debates of the hate that was thrown. You know, when we go in through the debates, you heard me say it weeks ago. I was so much more proud of the vice presidential debate than I was the presidential debate. There was a lot of hate that was thrown, even in just the way they looked at each other or didn't look at each other. stepping on each other, having to mute the microphones. Again, a true debate is listening to the other side and saying, well, hold on, this is what I'm going to do. So I was extremely pleased with the vice presidential debate and thought, moving forward, that's what we need to see more of. Well, Jesus is calling. All right. And we're going to wrap up the show with this. And then I'll tell you what's coming on tap for our shows in the coming weeks. So today, November 6th, which by the way, I believe, let me look at my notes real quick. I think I have a happy birthday to pass along. I do. So Tia Tricamo, who is part of our team, turns 21 today. Can you all remember back when you were 21? Tia does a lot of our social media. So hoping that she'll turn some good stuff for you over the coming days and weeks. Tia, happy 21st birthday to you. And while I am on my business trip, we also will have a birthday with Zach. His birthday's on Veterans Day. So happy birthday early to Zach Kimball. If you all want to wish them a happy birthday, he's the one that directs for us. Hannah, who is moderating for you right now, her birthday is November 18th, and that is when I will be back on, coming off of my trip to Italy. And then Michelle has a birthday on November 22nd. So my entire team, they're all in November babies. Well, today on November 6th, seek to please me above all else. As you journey through today, there will be many choice points along your way, right? Most of the day's decisions will be small ones you have to make quickly. You need some rule of thumb to help you make good choices. Many people's decisions are a combination of their habitual responses and their desire to please themselves or others. This is not my way for you. Strive to please me in everything, not just in major decisions. This is possible only to the extent that you are living in close communication with me. When my presence is your deepest delight, you know almost instinctively what will please me. A quick glance at me is all you need to make the right choice. Delight yourself in me more and more. Seek my pleasure in all you do. And again, Marilyn, thank you for this. I didn't see Marilyn commenting today. I'm not sure if she was on. Jesus Calling, wonderful book. Devotions for every day of the year from Sarah Young. During the time that I'm gone, we have some really powerful shows that we're bringing back for all of you that may have seen these shows in the past. It's an opportunity for you to see them again and hear them in a different way. The powerful aspect of repetition sometimes, right? So we need to hear something that really affected us at one point, and then here it is all over again. So my team has chosen some of their favorites, and I'll run those down for you tomorrow morning of what you'll hear while I'm in Italy. And again, just bouncing in, make sure you look at our stories and reels that you'll see some live footage of what we're experiencing in Italy. But then for you, please, you won't get a notification. Like whenever I go live, you won't get a notification, but know that there are stories or shows from the past that they have edited up for you. So they've done a lot of work to have those shows over the next week plus. Whether you are happy with the results from the election or you're disappointed in them, find your way to move forward, to open the line of discussion and show kindness to each other. It's the greatest thing you can do. Communicate and be kind.